5 things I wish I knew when I began oil painting. Let me tell you. Number 1, colour theory. I so wish I even understood the bare basics of colour theory. When I started, I think I would add blacks to make colours darker and whites to make colours lighter. The problem with that in oil paints is it makes it so muddy. So let's have a look at this painting I did probably about 15 years ago. So this is a portrait I did of my Nan Lily. I did have a mild understanding of skin tone, undertones, so you'll see there's some blues, there's some purples, some reds, some yellows, which you would find naturally in skin. However, if you have a look at where I've tried to add shadows, so like in the wrinkles, in the creases, I've gone straight for blacks, which has of course made those colours very grey and flat. Now, if only I would have understood the colour wheel and to use a complementary colour to change that colour into a shadow tone, I think that painting would have been so much brighter and better. So colour theory is essential. Number 2. Not every painting needs to be a masterpiece, which is a trap I fall into all the time. All the time. When I started, I wouldn't do a painting unless it was going to be a final, perfect painting. Not good practice. So if you're doing that now as a beginner, scrap that. Throw that behind you. We're not doing that anymore. You need to paint for painting's sake. And what I mean by that is make mistakes and just enjoy painting, find styles, experiment with new things. Your value, your form, your lights, your shadows. Not everything needs to be perfect. Will I ever get over that? I'm trying, watch this space. Number 3, values. Plain and simple values. And if you've watched the courses, you'll know I babble on about them all the time. And that is just how important values are in painting. So your values are your lights to your darks. So have a look at these paintings I've got here. I'm going to point with my pointy stick paintbrush. The values that you can see even on this pear. So the background is dark, which makes the light pear pop. And I do talk about this. This was from the values class. The value of the pear and how it just forms that shape. And it's really interesting to see some of my older paintings and see how you can tell I didn't understand what values were. Values are what make your painting, make or break that painting. Start dark, build up to those lighter values and you'll ace it. Number 4, fat over lean, which is a really bizarre phrase if you are not a painter. In the oil painting world, fat over lean basically means the thinness of the paint and the thickness of the paint. Fat over lean refers to the way the paint dries and the way we need to layer that paint on the canvas so the paint doesn't crack, so it layers on properly and you will get the most out of your paints. So starting with your thinnest version of your paint, so you're layering with white spirit mixed in, and you're making that oil fatter by adding some mediums, and then the fattest form of paint straight out the tube. I had no idea. I'd never heard of the term fat over lean. I'm going to even argue to say the first 5-6 years of my painting career, not a foggy clue. But now I've learnt what it means, it works and makes sense. So if you're starting out, understand the principle of fat over lean. And finally, number 5, sitting down whilst painting. I wish I knew to stop doing that. And I don't mean the entire process because we're only human and I'm not standing up for days on end. But just giving yourself space between yourself and your piece of art is so big when it comes to final composition and seeing the composition as you're going. Like I said, I was a sucker for detail and I would sit, and my mum will vouch for this, she would come downstairs and I'd be hunched over the kitchen table, Hunchback of Notre Dame style, painting teeny tiny details with a teeny tiny brush. So if only I would have stood up, taken a step back, grabbed a nice long handle brush that would work as an extension to my arm and giving myself all of this room to see the entire canvas. It would have been such a big advantage. You'll find if you go to an art school or an art class, they will tape you away from the canvas and force you to take that distance away after every stroke. Make a mark, step back to your piece of tape and think about your next stroke as you're going forward. And with that, you're thinking about each stroke you make, you're taking your time to take in the composition, and it all just works a little bit more in your favor. So those are the 5 things I wish I knew when I started oil painting. If you're just getting started, take some time to think through each one. Even the tiniest bit of information that you can gain is going to help you so much and take your paintings to the next level. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye.